Hello, UA followers. Today I wanted to do a post on immigration, and I wanted to talk about how mainly, and I kept putting it off because I was worried, the reaction I would get. I know a lot of people are going to be pissed off, but I don't care. Our thing here at Unbiased America is to get to the truth. That's the point of being unbiased. But I wanted to talk about how mainly, the alt-right, the left, and libertarians tend to be wrong on immigration. Part one. Reason number one why they tend to be wrong is because they talk about immigrants in the abstract. And this is a point that Thomas Sowell always brings up, is that they assume to know why immigrants are coming here. And they always bring up that, it's the market. They want to get jobs, and the market's the best way of allocating resources. And that could be wrong for two reasons. One, that isn't the only reason why they're coming here. There are other incentive structures put in place by politicians, self-aggrandizing politicians that want to bolster the size and scope of the state. And one of them is birthright citizenship. It's true that illegal aliens are not privy to benefits, but their children are. And when they have a baby here, their child is privy to benefits. So their household receives benefits. And that is based on however many children they have. That's why they tend to have more children. These are people coming primarily from Mexico and other areas of Central America and the third world. They tend to be low-skilled workers. This blanket assumption that they're coming here for jobs, I don't know where they're getting that information from. We don't know why a lot of the illegal aliens are here. There are many legal immigrants. The largest immigrant group coming to the America legally is also from Mexico. And we know that, there's different, is Mexico perhaps the best place to receive all our legal immigrants from? I mean, we know this through the data, through facts. I mean, that Hispanics tend to have a larger out-of-wedlock birth rate than, say, Asians. So why aren't we having a larger degree of our immigrants coming from Asia? I mean, we know that they're going to be a more successful immigrant group. Why are we, importing more people that tend to have larger out-of-wedlock births, that tend not to perform as well as Asians in schools and in other tasks? That's a question we really have to ask. Also, a common theme is, well, illegal aliens come here, but they pay into the system. That might be partly true, but they're getting far more than they're paying in. Legal immigrants that come here tend to get tax returns. I mean, we know, as libertarians, as conservatives, we know that the top 20% of earners pay 80+% of federal income taxes. We also understand that the bottom percent of people get paid out by the federal government. Furthermore, they're using resources here. Illegal aliens, legal immigrants are using our schooling, which is a large portion of that. I think it's 50+ billion per year they use in schooling resources. These are resources that our children could otherwise use. They're not paying into the system. I mean, this is simple stuff. This has nothing to do with race. I'll get into that later, and I'll talk about why the left uses that. That's crap. That's nonsense. And they use that towards a Marxist end. And I will get into that in a minute. I don't want the video to become too long. But, this idea that they're coming here for jobs, you're talking about immigration in the abstract. And to the alt-right, not all immigration is bad. First of all, we're looking for a multiracial society. We're looking for them to integrate into American communities, to become assimilated. That means intermarriage. That means multiracial families. The multiracial families under one culture. This tends to be more of a cultural issue, not a racial one. The left turns it into a racial one because they want to have this Marxist utopia, you see, and I will get into that in a second. Furthermore, and I talked with Tom Woods on UA Live. We talked about this. We do not have a free, unfettered market system in the United States where labor resources can flow to where they're most valued. We have price and wage controls on labor resources. Look, you have a left that encourages, you have this, therapeutic left that encourages an unassimilated constituency. You have the corporate right that wants low-wage workers, and they encourage open borders. They want illegal alien labor. It's cheaper labor. They tend to depress wages, and it misplaces, jobs for Americans. The libertarians, I hear libertarians saying this. This is funny because they have an economic outlook, say that, these are jobs that Americans don't want. As if, what dictates what jobs Americans do? Wages. If the wage is low, people have other options. And one of those other options is welfare or government largesse, payments in kind, Section 8 housing, SNAP, whatever else. Why would they go work a job that, a construction job, a bellhop job, a farming job in California? Why would they work that for a depressed wage when they have the alternative of not working? And when illegal immigrant labor and legal immigrant labor is depressing wages in some of these sectors, and then they do compete with Americans for a lot of these jobs that you do think is largely immigrant labor. A majority are competing with young Americans, primarily young Black Americans, low-skilled workers here. They compete with them. They depress the wages with them, and they displace them. Why work a job when you can make more in the welfare state? So to say that it's a jobs Americans won't do, that's correct. It's jobs Americans won't do at that price. The price would arise, more Americans would do that. Furthermore, displacing American labor already, one, you have the fact that low-skilled immigrant labor isn't going to be as productive because, one, they come here, they don't know English. They're coming here at a rate so great that they're living in ethnic enclaves where they're not encouraged to ever learn English. Prior to 1914, we did not ever have unrestricted flow of immigrants. It's been immigration has been a history of restriction. We have restricted immigrants pre-1914, post-1914. So this crap about we're a nation of immigrants and we're a nation of American citizens first. We protect our citizens. The immigrants have to prove why they're coming here, why it's good for us, not why it's best for the immigrant. Okay, we're American citizens. These are our sovereign borders. There's nothing wrong, nothing racist. It's not overly nationalist to say, hey, we need to protect our sovereignty. You would do this in your own home. You want to know who's walking into your house. How come we can't know who's walking into our country? Sovereignty is a huge deal here, and they should come here and prove why they want to be an American citizen, why they want to denounce why they want to denounce their former country, their former culture. I mean, obviously they're voting with their feet to come here. I mean, they're coming here because we have the most tolerant, prosperous nation on the face of the earth. They're voting with their feet. Clearly that they're escaping a society. They're escaping a culture that didn't produce adequate, a foundation or infrastructure for the allocation of resources, not like the one we have here. So that's why we need to protect it. Where do they go if they come here and import their culture and ruin our market structure? Where do people go? I don't understand why well, I do understand why it turns into a race issue. But we've largely had a rate of immigration where we allowed immigrants, first of all, to assimilate, to Americanize themselves, to become assimilate into the culture, the broader culture, because American culture is superior to others. There's nothing wrong with saying it. I'm not saying a race is. Culture is separate from race. I'm saying our culture is. You can look at it empirically from a market standpoint, from a rights standpoint. Also, you can look at why are they coming here? If this is this white, hegemonic, white supremacist, hateful country, why are all these people from the third world fleeing to the United States of America? What reason would they come here for? Other than that they have a better shot here in the United States of America. And the reason they do is because we protect our sovereignty and we protect our market structure. And we're losing. And we're losing because the majority of these people coming here are importing their culture as well, because they're coming at rates higher than they ever have before. Furthermore, like I said before, the therapeutic left wants an unassimilated voting base, a voting bloc. If they assimilate into American culture and they coalesce around prevailing American culture, they automatically, they're going to have, be in a two-parent home. They're going to work. They're going to have adequate resources. They're not going to want to vote for bigger government. But what we do have is people coming here from the third world, largely low-skilled, that are working low-skilled jobs that aren't encouraged to learn English anymore. And these subcultures are subsidized. They're subsidized by the left that want the voting bloc. The corporate right wants the cheap labor. That's why we have open borders. Look, if these people were coming here tomorrow and they were coming here, they came from two-parent homes, they came from a culture that was largely prosperous, they came here and they prospered, they created wealth, they were creating businesses, the left would seal that border up tighter than a crab's ass tomorrow. We know it. Okay, if they were coming here and voting Republican, that thing would be closed up so fast, heads would spin. So I don't want to hear about this humane, it's inhumane, the left is humane. The left has one thing. Their object is to balkanize, divide, shut down, debate, sanitize the language, sanitize history. The critical race theory states that they need to balkanize us. You see, it's everyone else's problem. It's everyone else's fault that certain ethnic communities don't thrive. You see, even though that's been a standpoint throughout history, through many differing times and places, countries, democratic and undemocratic, certain immigrant groups have performed better or worse than other immigrant groups. But what they're going to tell you is that it's the white people doing it because they need that division. You see, if all of a sudden these ethnic communities started to do well, perform well, and didn't need government anymore, that would dissolve their power. That would dissolve their input. Certainly among intellectuals in academia, what are they to do? If all of a sudden these people are to become, to assimilate themselves and Americanize themselves, they have no sway. Look, I went to college. I was dealing with postmodernism. Postmodernism states that become American. Like if you're an immigrant group, specifically if you're Latino, if you're if you're from anywhere in Latin America, certainly amongst Black communities, if you Americanize yourself, that it means to lose your identity and become white. They've turned it into total race thing. So if you're to become an American, you've become white and you've lost your identity. What they want to say is, don't look within. It's look out. Let's look outside. You see, out of wedlock birth rates don't matter. How you perform in schools don't matter. You see, it's white people's fault. Don't at all look at yourself. It can't be. Don't look within your own community and say, hey, perhaps maybe we can, like, I don't know, encourage 2-parent households. And you have a lot of white people that are scared to talk about it. I'm not scared to talk about it anymore. There's whole communities being harmed by this, and you have people that are out there feigning compassion. That's not compassion. This is compassionate. Me talking about it is compassionate. What we do here at Unbiased America, calling out the truth, that's compassion. That's people that care. Don't give me your feigned ignorance there on MSNBC with Rachel Madcow talking about how awful the 1% is. These people create wealth. The reason why even the poor have such a great standard of living here, and why all these people flee from the third world to come here, is because the 1% created so much wealth that even the poor have the best standard of living in this country, and most people the world has ever known. So don't give me that crap. It's all crap. And furthermore, what they want, the division, the left needs that division. They need to have these unassimilated voting blocks because that's how they win. So what they do in academia is they create division. They have Chicano studies. You have Black Lives Matter movement. You have La Raza. I mean, here's a group. It's called The Race. And they're going to tell you that this is somehow some great organization. They don't promote assimilation. They promote balkanization because that's what the left wants. And I'll tell you why. That's this postmodernist theory, this critical race theory that says that your problems are the fault of white people. It's not your own community. It's not the way you live your life. Do what you want, live however you want. It's everyone else's fault. And you know what? You're not the one that needs to change. All the causes are to remain the same. It's everyone else that must change. It's that kind of crap, but that's a political message that sells, and that's what the left wants because that's where they get their votes from. So furthermore, you have a sect of the left, the Marxist left, that's saying that that's too narrative heavy because that's what it is. It's all creating a narrative. It's all creating balkanization. You have this group after race, you see, why they want solidarity among the Chicano movement, among the Black Lives Matter movement, Native American movement, Asian movements, and so on and so forth, where they come together with poor whites because they understand that they need as much help as they can get to bring together, obviously, what the poor whites, all these racial and ethnic groups, all balkanized, all divided, where you can have, they want to actually tear down the capitalist social construct is what they call it. I'm not kidding you. I mean, this stuff is nuts, but this is where they're going with it. That's why the left promotes illegal aliens, illegal immigration to any capacity. And that's why they subsidize these subcultures. That's why they subsidize non-assimilation, is because they know it cannot compete in the marketplace with the broader American culture. That these people are obviously they're fleeing. They're voting with their feet. They're fleeing a culture that they're in a way explicitly admitting isn't as successful as the American culture because by fleeing here. I don't see a ton of Americans fleeing to Mexico. I don't see a ton of Americans fleeing to Guatemala. You know what I mean? I don't see them fleeing to Venezuela. They're coming to the United States of America for a reason. Furthermore, you have a left. You have this low-skilled labor. Then you have a left that wants wages at $15 an hour. Who is that helping? Helps them. Because they know that the low-skilled labor can't get a job. What are they going to do? They're going to need government. And then they're going to vote for more government. And don't tell me either that importing all this low-skilled labor doesn't depress wages, because I've looked at everything. It depresses wages. A fellow from National Bureau of Economic Research and Harvard, I'll look up his name right now. It's slipping the tip of my tongue, but he's done a ton of work on this. His name's George Borjas, and he's done a lot of work on it. You can look it up. He's at Ember too. They have, since the Hart-Sellers Act, like I said, we've always had a history of restricted immigration. Doesn't matter how far back. Some years it would be as high as 8 million, some years as low as 2 million. In 1965, with the Hart-Sellers Act, that changed the immigration largely from something that benefited citizens to benefited the immigrants, meaning that you had more chain migration, that families could easily get their family here, irrespective of the skills of the family or anything else. You started to get chain migration. What was best for the immigrant as opposed to what's best for American citizens? We had an explosion of immigration. I think between 2000 and 2014, we had 14 million legal and illegal immigrants admitted into the country. What do you think that's going to do to wages? Of course, it's going to displace American jobs. Of course, that's what's going to happen. And know who it's harming most is the black community. You have these terrible public school system. You have illegal immigrants, illegal alien children in the school system using up resources that they're not paying into. You have, no choice in schools. It's not a marketplace for schools. So you have kids in the inner city. They're not learning any of the skills you need. Then you have a $15 minimum wage. That is not to help anybody. That's crap when the left. That is not it. It is to keep them dependent on the government, to keep a dependent voting bloc, and for self-aggrandizement. That's why you see the right kind of acquiescing to this. The Mitt Romneys, the John McCains, that compassionate conservatism. That's big government conservatism saying, look, we can't win on the message of capitalism. We can't sell capitalism. Furthermore, they're alt-right. You people are loon jobs. I wish you'd shut your mouths. I don't know what you're doing. You're in these stupid 4chan things, Reddit. You're in your mommy's basement. You're eating your whatever it is, those ramen noodles all day you get at the dollar store. And then you're waiting until your mom cooks you dinner at 5 p.m. and you're a keyboard warrior all day. Get lost. Your rhetoric's just is pathetic. We want an integrated, multiracial, multi-ethnic society under one American community, one American culture. This is about culture. This is not about races. It has little to do with race, everything to do with culture. Some cultures are superior to other cultures. We know that. That's why people flee one area to the next. My family happened to flee fascist Italy to come to the United States of America. I am not Italian. I am an American. We are a nation of citizens. Yes, was my great-grandfather on either side, or my grandfather on my mother's side, were they immigrants? Yes, but they became citizens. My grandfather would never say, "Hey, I'm an immigrant." He said, "I'm an American." What happened to that? It's about Americanizing. I just don't understand where people are coming from. They're always coming from this position of ideology, and they're not looking at the facts. They're not looking at what's going on. They're not looking at history. Let's just elide history entirely. And you're listening to like these political luminaries, economic luminaries that have an agenda, that have an ideology, that don't understand perhaps that not everything's an economic model. Some things happen to be, some things exist in reality. One of them is a civil society, and you erode it by having, massive influx, is a high rate of immigration where they create ethnic enclaves and they close themselves off from the rest of the community. This stuff has to stop. Somebody has to call it out. You're hurting the people most vulnerable in our society. And then you're claiming like, oh, I want to help them. Again, crap. Don't give me that. If you wanted to help them, you look at the facts, you do the hard job. You would call it out and you wouldn't care what blowback you're getting. I know I'm going to get a ton of blowback. I don't care. I hope if this helps one person, I'm far better off. I'm not saying all immigration is bad. Certainly restricted immigration that gives the immigrant a period of time to assimilate, to become part of the culture that they voted to come to. Nobody's forced them to come here. I'm not forcing them to come. They're deciding to come here. And if you decide to come here, it's to be an American. It's to denounce that culture that you willfully left to become an American citizen. That's what immigration has been built on. It's about citizenship. Citizens. It's about sovereignty. It's about the civil society and protecting that at all costs, because this is the last bastion on the face of the earth for liberty, for freedom. And the left wants to erode it, and they want to erode it through unfettered immigration, through unfettered open borders. And the corporate right wants it because they want cheap labor. And we don't have a free market system here. We have a welfare state. And if you want to eliminate that welfare state, we need to have secure borders. We need to have a lawful immigration system that benefits the American people. This stuff is not hard to say. It's not hard to do. We need to start doing it. Or we're going to get, what we have is a leftist European Marxist party here. The Democrat Party. It's a far left party. It's unrealistic not to assume we're not going to get a European right party, this nationalistic Le Pen right party, as a reaction to this stuff. What conservatives have to do is start getting the guts to come out and say, look, the alt-right are kooks. They're nuts. They're making our job harder. We need to come out with the arguments, with the data, with the facts, and say that, our immigration policy is harming those most vulnerable. It's harming, urban communities, black communities. It's destroying the black community. It's destroying opportunities. I mean, these people are unable to accumulate human capital because they cannot get jobs, because an illegal alien has depressed the wages and made other alternatives more attractive, such as the welfare state. So I mean, our job here at Unbiased America is to disseminate the truth. That's what I'm going to do. If you have questions, go ahead and ask. You can attack my inbox all day long. You can call me whatever name you want. But I'd most likely agree with you on the name calling. You're probably right. But that's not an argument. Address my arguments. And thanks for watching the video. Please share this with your friends. Also, we have a Unbiased America YouTube page now. We have an Unbiased America Google Plus page, an Unbiased America LinkedIn page. We're pretty much everywhere. Please visit our website, unbiasedamerica.com. Watch our show. We're going to restart our show this Wednesday, this coming Wednesday, so watch that. And I didn't get everything across here. I shoot this live, so I will do another show if there's enough inquiries. Thank you for watching and have an excellent day.